아프리카 TV 프리급 스튜디오 라이브 2020 GSL 시즌 2 코드 S The Coming Storm.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another day of GSL Code S. This is Group C, the round of 16. We're halfway through this phase of the tournament. It's been incredible so far. The games have been epic, and I think today will be no exception.
Yeah, this group is pretty badass. I guess that's just a quality of the round of 16, truly.
Yeah.
The round of 24, obviously, we have plenty of one-sided games, but the round of 16 is just...
Mwah! It's been
Beautiful.
Really good, man.
The mouthfeel is 100%.
We have lost all the non-Korean players, so the only foreigners here are you and me casting this. Unfortunately, Special and Scarlet were both knocked out, but I don't know. We'll see what happens today. Protoss seem to be having a little bit of a hard time this season of GSL as well.
That being said, my vote for easily the best Protoss in the world right now is playing tonight. And if he can't get out, can anyone get out? I mean, any Protoss player. I mean, because we know Terrence.
We know that nobody gets out. It becomes this weird feature where some players in the round of 8 get buys.
That would be so terrible. That's when you really know you got a dead game.
Yeah, but I mean, this season's been great. This year's been great for StarCraft 2. I feel like the game is really in a better spot than it's ever been in. The meta has become very interesting. We're having a lot of transitions here. We are seeing some of the Protosses that seem to do well, either getting even cheesier or going into these more late-game approaches.
Yeah.
And for me, the Protoss meta right now is the most... I'm always interested in whichever race is not doing well, how they're trying to come up with a solution.
Yeah, and it can be a difficult spot for Protoss because they just don't whine as much as the other races, which is oftentimes what they do to get out of hard situations.
Yes.
I guess we'll see about that. This is our round of 4 so far. DRG versus Innovation, TY versus Parting. Some great matches there.
Yeah,
DRG Innovation, I'm like very excited about.
What year is it?
Could be any year.
TY versus Parting here as well.
I mean, not the 1800s, but, like more recent years. Yeah, it could be one of those.
That's right. That's when they had to play StarCraft Pen and Paper edition. Rolling the dice.
Courier StarCraft.
That's right. We've got a quick video, then we'll be hopping into our games.
자, 이어서 세 번째 시드권은 조성주 선수입니다. 자, 조성주 선수 마이크 잡아주시고.
일단 그냥 저그 선수 중에 한 명 뽑고 싶어요.
지금 남은 저그들을 보면은 저 강민수 거기다 이병렬 선수와 박영우 선수가 좀 있거든요. 셋 다 좀 강력한 선수인데
딱 생각나는 한 선수가 있긴 있어요. 그 선수가 맞을까요?
네? 그 선수 있잖아요.
한 선수가 딱 떠오르는데
네, 브레인 저그.
맞지 않을까요?
네, 근데 저도 예상을 일단 어느 정도 해서
네.
근데 제가 다음 픽으로 아마 성호 형 뽑을 것 같아가지고 괜찮을까 고민되네요.
조성우를 뽑겠다는
성호 형이 어떻게 생각하는지 궁금하네요. 근데 민수라면은 상황 봐서 언제든지 마음이 바뀔 수 있는 친구라 생각해서 모르겠네요. 별로 거부감 들거나 이러진 않아요.
데려가도 된다예요 그러면요? 자, 박영우 선수냐 아니면 강민수 선수냐?
포기했던 선수냐? 신뢰.
야.
제가 무슨 말을 해도 뽑을 걸 알고 있긴 해서. 근데 제가 지금 남은 선수들 중에 제가 상대하기 제일 쉬운 선수가 그나마 조성호 선수라고 생각을 해가지고 아마 그 전에 뽑히지 않는 이상 저는 무조건 뽑을 것 같아요.
예, 알겠습니다.
이재선 선수가 아니라
누굴 뽑을까? 이재선 선수.
이전에
뽑아버렸네요.
이전에 협박을 했던 대로. 사실 오기 전부터 성호 형 뽑으려고 했는데 이게 또 딱 성호가 뽑아버려가지고 어쩔 수 없게 됐네요.
네, 근데 어차피 뭐 첫 상대로 만나는 게 아니기 때문에 그냥 뭐 상관은 별로 없는 것 같아요. 같이 올라가면 되겠다.
둘 다 올라가는 작전이 있어요.
네. 자, 이렇게 그룹 7까지 조성우 선수 마이크 잡아주시고 이제 남은 선수가 이병렬이랑 조중혁 선수도 있거든요. 그래서 또 이병렬 선수까지 오게 되면 같은 팀원 파티가 돼버려가지고
네, 뭐 저는 뭐 선택지가 없는 것 같은데
선택지가 아예 없죠.
형을 고르면
이러면
Land of 16 Maru Sola Dream
Okay, we're moments away from getting this started. As always, until we get to the round of 8, it is the group stage, so we'll be setting the pace for who goes to the winners and the losers. I'm especially curious about how exactly Dream will perform. I think it's as good as he's looking. I think he is outmatched. He is outclassed here by these other players. I'm most curious to follow Trap as well and see what his approach is going to be here today.
Yeah.
And then Solar, you can always be excited about. He's a great Zerg player. He really does have his own touch. And Maru is a player I think everybody is expecting to have advance. If he doesn't, that will be a shock. But in the last 2 years, we've had a lot of major upsets as far as who ends up getting to the round of 8. Some players eliminated very early on. You know, the competition really is quite fierce here for the top 24 in Korea.
Yeah. This group is pretty crazy, too. It's just like, it's really hard to say how any of this will go. I kind of have a quiet prediction in the back of my head that Dream's going to make it out, because I think that there is this little possibility that everyone is still underestimating him. But we'll talk more about that as we get to his match.
I guess today will be the day we'll find out if that's the case, because this is a group where I think on paper he looks like he
looks outmatched.
Absolutely outmatched.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this does happen where we are underestimating a player, and then a couple more seasons, it's like, all right, he's way better than we expected. And we have to recalibrate our expectations.
Yeah. Now, Maru picking up Solar here, I'm not like super surprised about that. Maru is generally the best TVZ player in the world, and Solar was the weakest out of those 3 Zergs. But I think that this is going to be a very interesting match, especially like what I'm very interested in is that's all I say for the rest of my casting career, Taste. It takes 2 years for them to fire me. What idiots. But yeah, Solar likes some of this lurker play in ZVT.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's still really unexplored. It's not totally mapped out. It's not, you know, we don't know exactly. It feels a little bit volatile still, so I'm really hoping we see it against Maru here.
It doesn't seem like, it seems like it can be abused, the fact that you can be pretty fast with it, but it's not that mobile. But yeah, I like what Solar's always really.
He's on the edge of that.
I'll talk about this more after we hop in our game. Ice and Chrome is map number 1. This is Maru versus Solar. Let's go.
경기가 준비되었다. 한번 시작해 볼까?
Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
I have this awesome idea in my head. You're like, oh, I'll talk about that in a minute. Here we go, Solar versus Maru. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if instead of being quiet for these parts, that we just, instead of that, like, we're like, you know what? No, this show is about what we have to say. And then we just talk louder when this stuff comes on. Ready? Watch this. I'm going to do it for this one. See? Okay. So, and then we just start talking like this when the thing comes up, and we keep doing that and we see how far we can push our producers so that we just get muted. They have to mute us every time a voice plays. Like, wow, they're really ruining the show. Anyways, that's why I was laughing.
Oh, okay.
All that went through my head, Tasteless.
That is pretty funny. You're just screaming during the loud parts. Like, there's this part in the early part of the game where it's really loud, and so we just have to kind of raise our voices and shout over it.
We're the best at yelling over the in-game stuff. Oh, my God. Anyways, yeah, what were you saying about whatever you were talking about, Tasteless?
Oh, we're talking about Solar's lurker play and how cool that is. And it does seem like it can be effective, but it's a harder unit composition to do correctly. You know,
that's what it seems like.
Lurkers are units where, I mean, siege tanks are kind of like this, but people are quite good with them, where if you catch them and they're not sieged up, they're not ready, they can die pretty quickly. But I think Terrans have to be so good with siege tanks in general that where lurkers, I think it's a little bit harder for Zerg to have the hang of.
Yeah. Well, you have to reposition them quite a bit.
Right.
And we definitely see people get outmaneuvered. You have to be pretty darn exacting with them. But Solar's always on the bleeding edge of new unit compositions. Like, always, guys. This guy literally started Hydra Bane against Protoss. Like, he's the guy that used Swarm Hosts for a full year before anyone else caught on. So, and that's with Nidus as well. Although Beal, I think, was the first person to ever show that. But yeah, no, it's very exciting to see because I want to see more of it. There's a lot of different approaches people are taking in Zerg vs. Terran right now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for creativity with this matchup. Even though this part of the game always looks like this, I think as the game develops, it does become really, really, really interesting.
Yeah. You know, for instance, against Bio, right? You can see the just Ling Bane into Ultra. You can see Ling Bane Hydra. There's all manner of different Roach plays that you can do, right? You can do Roach Ravager. You can go Ling Bane Ravager. You can go Ling Bane Muta. And then, of course, we have these lurker plays that are popping out. And for the end game, we've seen everything from Ling Bane Hydra into Broodlords or into Ultra. And then we've seen just the pure Ultra play late game from someone like DRG. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that can occur if the Zerg does not die right off the bat. So I'm very excited for this match because, like, I feel like Maru's supposed to win, but I also feel like we're on the brink of someone figuring out how to correctly play Lurker style, and it could be Solar.
Well, he is the player that always has the alternative approach, you know?
Yeah, he is. He is. So
that's
a cool
I'm really
match because
excited.
of that.
Yeah, I'm really excited, with these two players here, because I think if Solar can beat Maru, it's fair to say he can beat Dream. So, I think whatever the best TVZ is, or ZVT, excuse me, that we have here, we'll probably see it here from Solar, because Solar probably hoping to win here and then just get out in the winner's match.
By the way, a blast from the past here. 2-factory Blue Flame Hellion. We're back in 2011 right now.
Yeah, how funny is this? Bringing out a totally anachronistic build. Is he going to get that over?
We saw this one time last week. This same type of build.
It's funny how this works, where sometimes you can bring back something that did work a long time ago, and it's oftentimes because the meta has changed a little bit, where this weird unit set actually does have the opportunity to come in here and do some damage early on.
Yeah. And you know what I kind of like about this as well?
Yeah.
Is, like, Maru's going to put on some pretty heavy pressure with the 2-factory Blue Flame, right? And even though his opponent sees it's coming, it's not, you don't look at this and say, oh, I guess he's going to lose now because his opponent knows. It's like, okay, well, I guess he's not going to kill every drone. That's probably a good thing for the game. But he's kind of starting off with 2 factories. So he has a lot of options. Like, does he hit that 2-2 siege tank push with like 8 tanks? If it's Ling Bane Hydra, he has that opportunity. Or he can very easily get into Drilling Claws if it's Ling Bane Muta he's against. I like the transitions that are available because of this opener. Gosh, I'm just in a good mood, Tasteless.
It's going to be a good day, Artosis.
I feel like I could talk all day about the various things I'm excited about.
Did your stream go well? Why are you in a good mood today?
I accidentally gained like 2 ladder points over the course of the stream instead of losing 200, so that was probably
good.
it.
That's good. Looks like we're going to have a dive in here. No, the Hellions are pushed back. Stim's about to finish. You don't have to try to kill all the workers with the Hellions if you don't want to. You can just use these to pair into another attack.
Yeah.
Just have them reinforce the Stim Marines. Keeping the creep down enough is worth it. The Lings can try to surround here. The problem is the blue flame really does just obliterate them so quickly. Good control here by Maru. Losing a little bit more than
Solar
half.
Too, I would say.
Solar did a good job. 22 Lings were taken out for 5 Hellions. And now we're going to have Banelings and Morlings coming up here.
Yeah.
Now Maru's taken his 3rd. So we had the creep controlled, we had a little bit of pressure. When you kill the Lings, they do have to remake some of them. But they're both on 3 bases now, and so at this point in time, we need to have Zerg take the 4th, which is going to be adjacent to the main. And my bet is that we're going to have Maru try to push out here.
Yeah. Like, he's making 2 tanks at a time, and he's kind of powered up. So maybe the push is just slightly slower than normal, but he already has Stim. As 1-1 finishes up, I wonder if he's going to actually push on 1-1, or he's going to wait a little bit longer. Probably at least some pressure on the creep tumors and everything, but he still has the Hellions doing that as well.
Yep, again, the Hellions just continuing to roam and try to control the creep. Doesn't look like we have any setup for a counterattack or anything like that. And I like this play here by Solar, just having an Overlord come out here and dump creep out in the front.
Awesome.
A lot of this is going to be reliant on, how much surface area does Zerg have where their speed, the speed they gain from the creep is there. So I think this is a good way to jumpstart trying to have a good position. Now, the creep is not connected over to there just yet. We're moments away from that happening, but so is this push.
Now look how sharp this is. His Baneling speed's about to finish, and 10 meters are about to pop out.
Right.
So even though this is a scary push, Solar has the types of things that he needs.
Yeah, this is a pretty good wrecking ball against the Terran army, but we'll have to see how good the control is from Maru. I'm expecting it to be near perfect.
A lot of transfusions being used on that spine. It does have to be pulled back. The Hatchery taking
low.
damage. He's going to lose it. So it looks like this is not quite quick enough. But this is a complete rout on the army. So yes, he lost the 4th, and a lot of times we'll look at that and say the game is very Maru favored, and because it's Maru, maybe it still is, but that's the type of thing you need to do to the army if you want to have a chance to still win the game.
It is a funny trade-off where you kill off their expansion, but they kill off most of your army. Sometimes it ends up with the player who lost the army. They can end up behind.
It can happen, yeah.
But I think with Maru's position, he's turtled up pretty well.
Yeah.
I think he got out with enough. You know, had those medevacs been picked off, maybe it'd be a different story, but
no real counter potential,
yeah,
right? That's the issue.
Yeah, my take on this is that Maru's going to sit back and wait for the expansion to be set up again and just come in there and hit it once more. And I think that's actually just a really good way to play the game.
Absolutely.
It's one of the most
really
straightforward
strong
ways to kill a Zerg, just deny the expansion over and over, get bigger, keep upgrading, stay ahead.
I think you basically just aim for 2-2 max out and push out again. You know, that's always a very solid way to play. But you know what? Solar's flying around with a good amount of flying around with lings. Flying around with a good amount of mutas right now. Continuing to tech up, we have the Infestation Pit about to finish.
The 4th base is equally as important here for Terran. I mean, one thing about the 4th base in this matchup is that's usually more counter-attackable than the 3rd is. Pretty easy for Terran to set up and turtle on 3 bases, but every additional base after that is a little bit easier to just hit with small groups of units, like Zerglings or having Banelings run in to kill the workers. But again, we're at the point here where I'd say Terran is slightly favored here, unless Zerg can really take a fight and win.
Yeah. Gotta say, though, gotta give some shout-outs to the creep. Look at how well spread it is at the moment, considering Maru has been working on it some this game. And, I mean, Solari's got a really healthy drone count. His upgrades are really on time this game, so his +2 carapace is, like, almost lined up exactly here with the +2 attack, which is kind of the most important 2 upgrades. So he's doing a lot of things really well, but when this push comes out, he's got to hold on, right? His ultras are not going to be ready. He's going towards them, but they will not be ready for the next attack.
We have a lot more Banelings that have been made here as well. Maru played pretty conservatively after poking out the 4th. Zerg is doubling down efforts on trying to expand and grow here. We also have 2-2 finishing for Terran, so this is probably a pretty ideal moment to try to push out. All your upgrades are done. You can see the Mutas looking for a counterattack. It would be impossible to counterattack in there with Lings or Mutalisks, and now the army is going to push here. The nice job there taking out the Widow Mines. There's a lot of creep to try to hack your way through. Is Maru going to commit here? This is a lot of creep, man.
Yeah, it really is. Like, can you actually clear that all the way? Well, he's got to do something. You can't just let him march across, so we have to see a little bit of scuffling here.
Now look at Maru being really smart here. He's now taken the second half of his army that was there to prevent a counterattack. He's realized, okay, there's nothing that's going to try to come in and hit me, so let's take everything else and try to move it down here now. He now knows where the Mutalisks are. And the Mutalisks are not with the army, so this might be a good moment to try to push in here. Plenty of Widow Mines back here, and Maru basically, with like the best control you could ask for, is just chipping away at this giant death ball. And the reinforcements are going to be here before this first half of the army can be taken on. And I wonder if this is where this army can actually like sledgehammer past this point. You know, oh my God, and the Thor's, oh my God.
That's crazy.
It's so dirty.
3 health.
Each Thor is
dirtiest.
1 or 2 hits away from being killed, but is still in the game, is still able to do a little bit of extra damage. Good juggling with the medevacs here. This is pretty insane. Now, the army seems to be getting smaller and smaller here from Maru. You have to imagine that Solar can muster more Banelings behind this over and over, but...
Well, he's trying to get some ultras in here, too. If he can just get ultras out, but... I mean, you see how much he's had to basically give to Maru here. He has to keep fighting a little bit, or Maru will run him over. But he needs that next level of tech. These Baneling hits, not really the best. Ridiculously strong pickups from Maru here. He's setting up a very difficult area.
Now this is a great moment to counterattack. Now that there's a weak spot, an imbalance on the map here, which Solar can come in here and exploit. He's hitting down all these units. These units, of course, will not be used to try to hold off the push, but it seems like it's worked. The army from Maru is pulling back here, and I'll tell you what, Solar never lost any bases after that 1/4 that was killed off here. So Solar with an incredible amount of income here on the map.
I just got sick chills from that.
Yeah.
That was... So I'm actually getting goosebumps all over my legs. Like, I can't even believe what a beautiful play this was from Solar.
It was really good.
He lost his 4th base. He scuffled over and over and over. He just avoided big Widow Mine connections, right? That's basically all he could do against that crazy army moving in. And then that counterattack we just saw that forced Maru to turn around. Suddenly, this is a game that Solar's looking good in, right?
Yeah.
It's not that Maru's looking bad, but Solar has a lot of the map. His creep spread is pretty reasonable. He has his ultras out. He's about to finish +3 melee.
This is incredible. And, you know, yeah, with the ultras out, they didn't even have to come out at the last second to try to hold off the attack. I think this is going to be a really difficult game for Maru to try to win from here on out. But, again, Maru does kind of flourish in these situations as well. He really is able to endure quite a bit of punishment and still outlast his opponent. I like the drop that's coming in over here, but it looks like Zerg always has just enough, just in time.
Well, we are on creep, so, you know, it can get over there pretty quickly. The Muta's going to come in and help clean this up as well. More lings being made. Very high drone count, very high SCD count right now. Both sides getting ridiculous upgrades, of course. And a lot of ghosts being added in right now.
Solar taking 6 o'clock here on the mini-map. I'm trying to imagine Terran either taking 12 o'clock or getting that location in the bottom right. It seems like every base from here on out is going to be a real struggle for Terran to acquire, you know, just positionally on the map, especially with the creep spread as good as it is here. If Solar can fill in the lower right here as well, I think it's going to be very easy for Solar to control this game from here on out.
Yeah, you definitely could be right about that. Like, this is a beautiful game, though. Just watching this, the fundamentals of both players, immaculate. We are watching this is an amazingly high-level game. This might be, like, we've had some awesome games this season, but just watching both of them play, I'm like, damn, you are both playing, like, just perfectly.
Yeah, I love the snipes, by the way, with those mutas. Knowing he has enough to one-shot those those Widow Mines there. Now, 12 is... There's a sneaky play up here. 12 is just going to be... Oh, no, never mind. He sees it.
Not sneaky
wondering if that, you know, sometimes these bases, if you don't find them right away, they can set up the defense there, and then you're in for a much longer game.
All right, come over here, defending a little bit of his creep. Looks like Solar thinking about maybe trying to hit that base. Not gonna do it, though. Still kind of running around now. This is where it's becoming a little bit interesting, right? Because we see this similar type of composition as to what DRG had, but that was a very back and forth game with a lot of swings, like running around doing powerful moves. Both of them have almost played too well. There's nothing really scrappy about this game anymore. So, like, for instance, he's attacking in right now. Is this going to be a good play?
We saw a lot of banelings get sacrificed on the Thor.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is efficient enough, but, you know, right now, I almost called Solar dark, by the way, as I was casting this, because it looks so much like a good dark end game.
Kind of does.
Well, Solar pops off the top base there.
Yeah.
There's something going on. Oh, yeah, just a ling attack over here in the lower right. But, look, you're keeping Maru restricted here.
Yeah, yeah.
And
he gave up a lot to do that, but I think it was probably worth it.
But I think that's what Zerg has to do once they get enough bases up here, is you need to use your income there to bludgeon the Terran over and over, and then just keep them from stretching any further on the map, because this is the moment where I think Terran does become more brittle.
Yeah, well, that's the question with Ling Bane Ultra, right? Because it's actually hard to do full frontal attacks with this, because the AI just gets screwed up because everything's a melee unit. It's very hard to actually do an attack, whereas you can clear up things on creep. But in a situation where Maru's not walking onto creep, you still have to make this composition do something.
Right.
So we just saw like that double-pronged attack, and I mean, that was good. That did pretty well for Solar. But how do you finish the game with this? Do you finish the game with this, or do you go for a different composition?
It's a good question.
Like, are we going to see a switch? We see Corruptors out. There's, of course, always the chance that eventually we see Broodlords.
One other thing to note here is there's basically no more bases left for Zerg. It's pretty hard to imagine a game where Zerg, for instance, takes like the lower right. So a lot of this is going to be just trying to keep Terran off bases and Zerg trying to vacuum up all the resources possible. And I think smash these exterior places over and over and over again until Terran runs out of money.
Yeah.
And that is a balancing act, using Baneling like this, like you were saying.
Well, you see this attack that we just saw right there, right? It's like Solar has what we could call the lead. It definitely looks like a lead, and against 99% of Terran pro gamers, this would be. But that attack we just saw, right? 2 Ultras and a bunch of Banes, what did it kill? Like nothing, basically? Because it's so hard to attack into these turtled up areas with this. So, you know, this is the type of situation where Maru excels really, really well, right? Like, he knows to stay back and use his snipes and utilize building placement and marauders and things like that to make this as cost and efficient as possible.
We have actually a push coming out here. I was wondering if we're going to have Maru try to just squeeze out and expand, or is he going to try to actually come out? I'm sorry, he's not going to push. He's going to use this as a foothold, where it's harder for the Zerg to try to come through.
Yeah, I think it's just critical that he goes very slow.
Oh my god. This is so many Banelings.
That is
This is an ocean of Banes moving out here. But I'll tell you what, with those Widow Mines there, actually that's still not enough. I love the Corruptors in here as well.
Yeah,
you
the
can
Corruptors
just take out the Medivacs, and if the orbital lifts,
yeah,
you kill it with the Corruptors. If it's a planetary, then you what is it called where the Corruptors barf on them? I actually don't know the name of this.
Corruptor Vomit.
Corruptor Vomit onto the planetary.
No.
I don't know.
God, it'll come back to me.
Whatever.
But either way,
people who know the ability names are nerds.
Yeah, no, those guys are nerds.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a good way.
I hope
to
he gets zoom for his medevacs.
Oh my God!
But yeah,
I think Solar's going to win this.
What you said about the Corruptors, I want to double underline. They're the only unit gaining value for Solar.
Correct.
Everything else, he's trading at a deficit, mostly. Occasionally, you see Banes actually hit. You're like, well, I guess some of those Banes were efficient. But like for the most part, his army is like not trading particularly well, but those Corruptors definitely are. So definitely an important part of this composition right now. But again, killing your opponent with Banelings, dude, every time they attack, they die. Okay, it's an issue. Look at these mines.
This is the mines are the MVPs of these fights right now for Terran.
Look at this. You leave the spread out Marauders as best you can. It's so many Banelings that it looks like carnage, right? He's rolling through and you're like, nothing can stop this. It's like a cinematic. But then you're like, oh wait, that was pretty inefficient for him. So even though I lost a lot, as long as Maru just calmly plays this like he's playing in it, I think that there's still a shot for him in this game, even though this is scary stuff from Solar.
Just to go big picture here, because this is a kind of a complicated concept for a lot of people, but you know, Zerg has had more of the map, which means that they will mine out more quickly, but the unit comp, again, is Banelings mostly. And Banelings, if they don't connect with their targets, you've gotten no value out of them. Yeah. Whereas most units, you can get value out because they're both sides will deal damage to each other, and then you know, if you were better off with your army, then you come out on top. But with this, Zerg can end up looking dominant and then fizzle out, and that's what it seems like Maru is going to bank on in this game here. Is there's no more bases that are realistically acquirable. I mentioned earlier, imagine Zerg actually keeping this base in the bottom right. You see why that's hard to do.
It is difficult.
And so the idea is that the Terran will basically outlast the Zerg.
You can see again, Maru, has these sensor towers hooked up. He kind of sees things coming, and he can just rotate down and stop them because it's so hard to get in and do your damage and get out. Like, most of the units are meant to die during a fight, and then the ones that aren't are the biggest targets in the whole game.
Yeah. Oh my God! Now that's what we're talking about. That was it got no value. And this starts to add up. It can be hard to follow, but if you just look back at every attack, and then the moment that Terran has finally outlasted the Zerg, I mean, you could always go back to those moments. Well, you lost, let's say, 9 Banelings to a Widow Mine. That's just gas that went into nothing.
That's happened plenty of times.
Abyss. Yeah.
Or it just Banelings killing Marauders and things,
and
you know?
Same thing with the Ultras. They don't get to run away very easily.
No, certainly not. Oh my God.
Yeah, there it is.
Just ridiculously good mines.
Can these Corruptors get the orbital?
And don't forget, the mines are basically free, okay? At their price point, it's like Terran is the race that can't spend its gas when it wants to. Terran mines more gas than they ever need in every matchup. So mines are like, when you can get value out of mines all game, that is a gold mine for Terran because suddenly they're converting all this gas that they would never use otherwise.
Yeah.
Right? We're no longer in any sort of Raven meta. Ravens can't just win you the game anymore. So,
by the way, there was one Swarm host that was made. This happens every once in a while.
yeah,
That's the
it's
hero
the dog
unit.
whistle. The dog whistle Swarm host, man.
Yeah. Well, 12 has been taken. Keep in mind, Terran has not actually been able to keep anything but the fresh base on 12 up.
Yeah.
So this is really becoming a strain here on Terran. Terran's going to try to take the lower right. And I think one base that will be by far the hardest is the one that's just to the right of this screenshot here.
Yeah,
that's the most out. It's an outwardly facing base.
That's a tough
very
one.
easy to launch an attack for the Zerg to that location.
By the way, Solar's taking 4 gases right now because I was just going to point out that we see him making a lot of lings. We see his gas bank mostly dried up. Things become harder and harder in a situation like this.
Now look at this. Again, the Corruptors come in here.
Yep.
They should be able to gun down that command center. You know, you can't get that back home very easily. It's enough of a chasm over that, except for the CC to float, that a decent number of Corruptors will easily pick it off. The counterattack, by the way, was denied here. Solar's playing the ZDT of his life.
Yeah, this is an amazingly good game. Look at the amount of lings and banes rolling in here. Even like 8, 10 mines are not enough. It's crazy.
Yeah. I love the burrow too.
Yeah, no, he's doing a lot of really great things. I love that he's still getting air upgrades as well. Maru we saw even getting air attack. This is just preparation for possible tech switches later on. I think neither of them knows whether or not they're going to tech switch at some point. But one thing I do want to also mention, because we don't get many games like this, but I think in a situation like this, it's incredibly important to get a Nidus up.
I agree. I think there's going to be a moment where the Terran is no longer just dumping money. By the way, this is a great attack here. Now, if you could actually get rid of those ghosts, that's the most ideal. Looks like this is going to be too flimsy now in the remaining army, but look at how much of the supply plummeted there for Terran.
Totally. And he does not have many workers left.
And now I'm wondering if the next attack can actually crush that the 12 o'clock spot, the two 12 o'clock bases here.
I'd love to actually see the income tab right now. I want to see how much Solar's actually mining, because he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 mined out bases, maybe 6-ish mined out, right? So he actually doesn't have that much more, even though that looked really good.
Yeah, he
is running low. Look at his minerals and gas now.
Yeah, he needs to put the finishing blows on here. But the
that's-
rest of the gas has been spent.
Yeah.
Terran's supply is starting to catch up, but a lot of these are units that need to rally down to this point. I think this next attack from the Zerg is going to be literally the most important one in this game here.
Yeah, it might well be. Here we go. A lot of Banes and Ultras coming in right now. Just green clouds everywhere as the Banelings go off.
A tidal wave of Zerg just completely crushing this. Once again, this orbital has to be picked up. The Corruptors can shoot it down. I don't see any ghosts to snipe here. Is the 12 o'clock base naked? Yes, it is. There's nothing here. And
yeah,
Terran literally does not have minerals at other bases. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 patches to the right of this.
Well, he's trying to be as efficient as he can. Some more Banes rolling here. He's getting some great snipes off, but just doesn't seem to have enough.
Targeting down the orbital. Okay, he has to back up. Now there's still a little bit more bank over here. By the way, this spot now is the last foothold economically for Maru. This 12 o'clock spot, you can see all the other bases are mined out. And so right now, by the way, Maru with 100 supply and only 16 workers. Now, again, remember that with Solar here, Solar's about to run out of money on his side of the map.
Yeah. They're
has taken
actually
the bottom
both
right.
pretty much broke, and they both have about the same army supply.
I think Solar's about to win this game.
He might be. The Banelings, well, hold on. He's clearing the Banes pretty well, and his army actually can clean up everything else now, I think.
Another thing to note as well here is that there's only 6 SCVs in this game right now. I mean, there's plenty of mules, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. And I think Solar's done it. GG. Solar crushing Maru in a macro game. Unreal.
After losing his 4th.
Yes, after losing his 4th.
That was a beautiful game. That was just
incredible.
from both sides. I'm actually just getting chills again. That was such a treat. What a pleasure that game was.
Well, I mean, that was like perfect Zerg macro play. That's how you beat a Terran. You actually got all the bases. You were efficient with every single fight, even though I think Maru did a good job. He did definitely kill bumps and Banes, but he was efficient enough with all his fights. Maru was not able to do it. He also did a great job taking out SCVs with the Banes to the point where Maru didn't have enough SCVs to really soak up the minerals to remax out the same way that Solar did. And even as that last base at 12 was taken out, Solar also snuck and took the impossible to keep base for Zerg in the bottom right. Insane play. Solar's looking like the greatest Zerg ever right now.
Amazingly done.
We're going to go to game 2. It's Pillars of Gold. Maru versus Solar continues on.
경기가 준비되었다. 한번 시작해볼까? 제네어 그린윙스 마루 조성주. 솔라 강민수.
If I was Maru, man, I'd be shaking in my boots after a game like that. That's a game that looks like kind of how Maru usually wins in a macro game. I'd be shaking in my boots. I'd be shaking in my Uggs.
Wonderful. I love the UGG reference. That game has me pumped, man.
Yeah,
that's making me want to play some Star C2. Milad, I'm coming. Oh my God.
How'd you call it Star C2?
Star C2, man.
Yeah.
What else would you call it?
I don't know.
You're like, I like to say StarCraft. Get out of here, tasteless. We abbreviate things, us cool guys.
That's right.
But yeah, no, that was a game like that. I don't know if I can go back to other games after watching that game, tasteless. I feel like I just had the finest whiskey, you know? The finest of wines.
Got a nice buzz.
Something
going
100
too.
years old that's been in a barrel somewhere in France.
That's right.
And now you want to feed me grape juice
Now, yeah,
with a shot of vodka
Now
in
I'm
it.
trying
like,
to feed
tasteless.
you Yellowtail.
Yeah, that was just, what a game. Whew.
Now I'm trying to feed you Carlo Rossi.
Yeah, the worst.
I'm trying to feed you cooking wine now. I'm trying to feed you mouthwash. I'm like, if you drink this whole bottle, you'll be messed up, but you'll probably have kidney failure.
Oh, man. No, that was... If we have more games like that today, I'll just be so happy, man. Damn.
It was a great game. Look, I mean, it was close. It was also an upset. I mean, Maru basically never loses to any Zerg, so to see Solar do it here, and Solar's always the guy where it's exciting to see him play, and he is a real innovator. He is somebody who brings a lot to the race and to the matchup, and you see why.
And you know what? The way he won that was so difficult, too.
Yeah.
It was really difficult, and it was all hinged on that thing that you mentioned, the Mutila's counterattack with the few lings at the third base, where he made Maru turn around. That is where Solar put his foot down and said, we are playing a big game here. Because that was never going to kill Maru, because Maru could turn around, but like that was such a critical moment in that game. And the way that he killed him, I think that people probably, the thing is, I think most people would look at that game and be like, yeah, Solar was killing him all game. No, that if you actually understand how hard it is to kill people with Lingbane Ultra, when they are smart enough to turtle like Maru is, to kill Maru with that strategy is so difficult. And he did such a beautiful job of it. It's like, how many games do we see where Zergs throw by attacking with Ultras? So many.
You know, it's funny because Ultra is like a weird unit, right? Because it kind of, I think it does fill a certain role, but I think it can be misunderstood what it's actually doing. You know, it sort of is this like giant tank, like this giant elephant that just soaks damage, and if you get stuck with it, in this way you need Lings and Banes with it, right? It's but the problem with the Ultralisk is, unlike actually, like, I guess Hydras are like this too, but most other Zerg units, you can't really run away. And the thing is, it's really, really, really expensive.
And it's so big. Its footprint, I think, is its biggest weakness, because it glitches out around buildings. really hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it will, you know, this works against any melee things. This is why we see walls all the time. Range units don't care about walls. They want walls.
Yeah.
You know, melee units though, they're like, oh no, there's depots in the way. You know, like what do I do?
It's a funny feature with it, where yeah, I mean, you really get to appreciate wall-ins in moments like this.
Yeah. Well, all that being said, looks like we're getting into something that looks pretty normal. Double evolution chamber coming up here for Solar. Looks like a little bit quicker than the engineering bays of Maru. Maru does have that third command, which is pretty important. And there go his E-bays. So just a little bit later than Solar. Now we'll just have to see what the Baneling speed timing looks like for Solar. I feel like that's always a very, very important thing to take into consideration.
This is also a map, I think, even more so than the other maps, where it's very clear who gets what side of the map.
Oh, yeah.
You diagonally
you're
cut this
definitely right.
one up, and so
It's clean as can be with that.
yeah, it's you know, occasionally you have maps where it's a little bit ambiguous. Where
Yeah.
like, usually you can kind of say, all right, this should be this guy's base, this should be that guy's base, but here
Yeah,
it's
like Eternal Empire, like top left, bottom right, is kind of like, well, who really takes that? I guess it
Yeah.
matters on expansion patterns.
Yeah, but here it's like, this is a map where Maru expands towards the left. Yes, there's that base in the center right. He'll probably take that too, but then Zerg will expand towards the bottom right.
Yeah.
The bottom right base for the Zerg is the last base taken in the game. Top left base for Terran, last base taken. So this should be a fairly simple game to follow. I'm curious to see if Solar wants to play a game like what we saw in Game 1.
Yeah.
You know, play the game all the way from A to Z. Because that wasn't even like an A to Z game. That was like you went all the way to the alphabet, and then you go through all the number keys, and then you go through all the symbols, okay?
Sure. Well, it looks like he's going to switch this game up a little bit. He's going to be on Lingbane Hydra. And that's a late game thing, too. Like,
Additional supply depots.
Hydras are a little bit like Ultras in the fact that it's actually hard to go kill your opponent with them.
Yeah.
A lot of Zerg victories are won on creep, you know?
Yeah.
Zerg is just so much better at engaging those types of situations.
Ooh, bad fight there. You gotta
Yeah.
be careful, even though most of the Lings didn't die. Oh, actually, you know, that damage those Lings took. Okay, here we go.
Could be significant.
Yeah, it could be significant. Banes are coming.
His Bane's speed, though, is very slow here.
Very true.
And Maru's catching him right when he wants to do a Hydralisk transition, so that makes it a little bit scarier as well.
Okay, the Lings are... Well, they're supposed to catch the units that are going to be reinforcing. I think Solar might have messed up here. Let's see. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, the flanking force is incredibly important here.
Okay, the Marines managed to go just towards the edge here. They will have to be picked up.
Oh, man.
No, I was wrong. Tasteless done messed up.
That was good micro from,
That was
from him
crazy.
there.
I thought for sure he was going to get surrounded and have to pick up here. Now I don't know if there's enough Banes. You can really tell how desperate the Terran is here by the fact that there's a Viking landed here. Like any extra damage, anything that can absorb a Baneling shot. By the way, Maru gets it.
Yeah.
Now, let's not forget this kind of is what Game 2, or Game 1, excuse me, looked like.
Yeah. It was a strong move from Maru, and he didn't lose as many units doing it as he did the first time. But that being said, 2-2 is already on the way. Hydras are coming out now, so maybe... Well, this is a nice little counterattack, isn't it? Catches a tank, which is very important considering he's going Lingbane Hydra.
Okay. Nice attack over here. Good pickup by Maru. Now, again, we're having some things mirror Game 1, but I think our circumstances are entirely different because this is not Mutatech.
Yeah,
So
it's a very, very different game because of that, yeah. It's kind of a funny place to have a siege shank out.
I think he just wants to delay the fourth as much as possible. And now, look at what this forced, actually. Even just with that tank there, it makes it a little bit harder. The fourth base has been remade in a much more obscure location. Zerg on this map want to expand up and to the left first, and then these lower right bases are supposed to be taken last.
Yeah.
And so the creep has not even caught up with the hatchery. Now, why does this all matter? Because the follow-up push might be enough to poke out the fourth base again. And generally speaking, if the fourth base is killed off twice by a Terran, the Zerg has been zoned out of a victory.
Yeah, yeah, for sure on that.
Not the most exciting win, but it is just, you know, you kept them unable to get.
And he's doing a great job with that too, right? There's no creep on that side, so he just kind of keeps a group there. It's big enough that you're like, I don't want to attack into that, you know?
Now take a look at this. We saw Solar do this in game 1, but he has Overlords put out in the front with creep going down there, and he's trying to race his creep up to get a good highway.
Yeah. Look at that micro. Beautifully done here from Maru. Slows him down a little bit. But yeah, there's one thing that I feel like Solar maybe could have changed up here a bit.
Yeah.
I think he could have gotten Infestation Pit quicker, because his 2-2's been done forever, right? And
that
his
is
Hive
true.
is not even halfway done right now, and that has to do with the late Infestation Pit. Maybe he felt like he needed all those units instead. But I feel like his one advantage was having 2 upgrade leads for like a minute. But he hasn't been able to use that, of course, because Maru's been sitting back defensively, and now he's not going to have that going into 3-3.
Right. Oh, hold on. Okay, so only 4 SCVs killed. Might have been better to just detonate that on the one SCV that was at the gas. Whatever. And now comes the, I think, most significant part of this game here, is the push. The creep is being driven away. The Marines can take a fight off of creep. This is, again, a forced expansion in an inconvenient location. We have a huge amount of veins being made, 29. Siege tanks are coming into play here. Siege tanks are sieging up as well. Marauders here in the front to soak some of the Baneling hits.
Oh, man, the Banelings are just not being efficient at all here. Not at all.
Whoa, what? Okay, the boys have been pulled.
Yeah,
It
that's
looks
a
like
mistake.
it looks like all those SCVs are holding on to a rope that is being pulled by that tank.
They don't want to go. Look at the one Baneling waiting for them to return.
They're like Marty McFly holding on to the back of the car in Back to the Future.
All right, the Baneling's just getting massacred here. This is going to be a Maru victory a lot quicker than what we saw in this last game.
This is a very precise kill here. And again, I mean, Maru really playing a perfect game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a little bit complicated, right? Because Solar was trying to utilize his really quick upgrades, his like getting 1-1 quickly and whatnot. But the Baneling speed was a little bit slow. Obviously, the big push came right as he's trying to get into Hydras, which is generally how things go.
Yeah.
And if you can hold on against that, you're in good shape. But it's so hard to keep your 4th against Maru. I mean, he is the best TBZ out there, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, he's really untouchable almost in this matchup. That's why Game 1 was so incredible to cast, really.
Yeah. This game looks a lot more like what I thought the series would probably look like.
Yeah, Maru like 10 to 20% ahead for most of the game and then closes it out.
But you know what? I wonder if there's any chance here that we could see Solar like try lurkers or something. I guess not. It's like too late at this point.
Yeah, I think if we would have to have Maru not have an attack that just didn't go well, and I just don't imagine that happening. By the way, this split here is really smart. No matter which way you go, your veins are probably going to get pelted. Oh, hold on. Is this just going to be on the command center?
I don't think he even killed it.
No. Oh, so this is a failure on all fronts. I think now this attack here over at 9 o'clock is going to be picked off. The base, I mean, will be picked off. Excuse me.
Nothing left here for Solar. Nice Blinding Cloud.
Yeah,
I think
little
the abducts were a
time.
bit off. Like maybe if he Blinding Cloud instead of abducted those 2 tanks.
Yeah,
But,
maybe. I mean,
yeah, the thing is, he's already so far behind. This is such a tough situation.
now the 4th time the 4th base has been made is now in the bottom right. Very far away location because Zerg just can't go anywhere.
Yeah, next is going to be top left. Like, we're just going to keep going. An impossible situation, really. Maru's got his +3 attack. Some Blinding Clouds go down, but Solar knows that this is all but hopeless now.
GG, Maru takes game 2. And now I really don't know who's going to win this. I think Solar seems to be incredible at the late game, but he has to manage the mid game versus Maru first. And that it seems to be where Maru really is the absolute strongest. If he does any kind of expand game, yeah. He just is getting too far ahead with his pushes.
Yeah. He hits some very sharp timings that are very tough to hold. You know, I think also Lingbane Hydra doesn't have a lot of finesse to it. It's kind of a muscle composition.
Sure.
Kind of similar to some Roach compositions, whereas Lingbane Muta, it's all about play. It's all about tactics, right? Having good micro and things like that.
I agree with you.
I think that you can stretch something like that further against the very best in the world than you can with something. Lingbane Hydra is going to kill most people because you're stronger, but Maru...
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can outmaneuver Hydras. It's much harder to do with Mutas. Mutas are very nimble units. Game 3 on Everdream starts now. The final match between Maru versus Solar. The winner goes on to the winner's match of Group C.
한번 시작해볼까? 제네어 그린윙스 마루 조성주
kopkopkop.
I didn't know we had him mic'd up.
솔라 강민수
Breathing through the nose.
Yeah.
No proxy, by the way.
Everyone's scouting so hard for Maru proxies, and he just doesn't proxy.
Well, this is what's so funny about something like this is you've put out enough information where people are like, okay, I gotta now use a drone to do it. And the thing is, you've lost some money scouting like this. I mean, it's
Absolutely. You really
StarCraft,
have.
the early game decisions, it's so important. You know, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna play?
Yeah. I think one drone isn't really that big a deal. It actually is. It
Yeah.
really does make a difference. You really feel it if you play a lot. Well, we'll see what happens this game. But yeah, I think against someone of Maru's caliber, going for Lingbane Hydra, I think like against Maru, against Innovation, maybe even against like TY as well. Like Lingbane Hydra is just, it's a little bit, you're giving too many options to the Terran.
I basically agree with this. I think especially on some maps, like that one, you could see there was a period where, like in that final push, you had tanks on two sides of this mountain.
Yeah.
And the Banelings are going to be shot by tanks on either side they hit. A lot of, you know, these Terran pushes are kind of hinged on you having this area where you have cover, you can fire over stuff, and then pull around the side, and then as you watch the Zerg units line up and hug and turn, that's where most of the damage is dealt. And yeah, I mean, look, I understand the rationale, but you know, of trying to do different unit comps each game. I mean, players are both trying to adapt to each other in real time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see what Solar does compositionally this game.
But again, I think for Solar especially, this is really important that he just gets a win here. Get to the winner's match. This is a hard group.
It's a really hard
And Dream,
group.
while he might be an underdog, is also a wild card.
He'll bring a very different style than Maru, which is going to be hard to deal with in its own way.
Right.
And the thing is, I'm not even sold that Trap's going to beat him, because like, I think Trap is the best Protoss in the world right now, but Dream's TVP looks really good, and honestly, with Trap, I feel like his PBT can go either way. Like he has made mistakes in it recently a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's hard to say who you're even going to face here.
Okay.
Overlord speed this game.
Yeah, I just noticed that. When you finished talking, I thought, okay, that's interesting. By the way, Maru, you know, it's a third CC coming down. He does not want to do anything early on. I'm also, as we, you know, continue to unpack this tournament, I want to see if Maru just stops proxying altogether.
Yeah, this might be the 3CC tournament, right?
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a much older TVZ. This looks like it could have been, you know, Innovation playing or something.
Well,
he's kind of,
you actually named it exactly.
Yeah.
This was the only build Innovation used for like over a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 4 years ago or so, like every game, Innovation was just like, Reactor to Hellions, third CC. every game because he just blocked everything everyone did.
Yeah.
It was so, you couldn't cheese him, and his economy was good. What a god.
But here we have Maru doing it this time. And again, Maru, keep in mind, he doesn't just plan for the opponent or the group, he plans for the entire tournament.
Yeah. It's part of his big success. He just attacked his own overlord.
Oh, did he?
I'm pretty sure.
Double eBay about to finish. Everything signaling we're going to have a long game.
Where's those Evos at? They got to start by the time the eBays are finishing.
Where are the chambers of evolution?
Oh, he already has them. Okay.
Come to our chambers where all the evolving happens.
Would you go into an evolution chamber to evolve further?
Yes.
Have you read the things that they think humans are going to evolve into?
Like half robots and stuff?
No, not that. That's like naturally evolve. Like they think toes are going to go away, hair is going to go away, things like that.
Oh no, my foot fetish. Okay, that's too bad. Toes are going to go away? Really?
Yeah. You
They're
notice they
gonna
keep
go
getting
away.
smaller. Yeah. Look at apes and look at us. Well, this isn't a good one for you because you basically got ape feet. But
I got hobbit feet.
yeah. But for most of us normie toes.
I can build a toy car with my feet. Oh no, I didn't get under. Okay. Now, if those Zerglings had tasteless feet, they could get under there, though. They'd be like, "Boop. Can't land now."
They start with Burrow.
Toes are getting smaller, though?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think they said brains are getting bigger, but like
Yeah, that's definitely not
anymore.
happening.
No,
No,
not
not with
anymore.
social media.
That's changed.
I can tell you right now, our entire species is doomed.
Oh, that's
Every
for sure.
morning when I get on the toilet and look at Twitter, I'm like, well, that's it. Everybody's insane. Ah, run!
Nice picks. Yeah, gets some tumors, gets a queen.
Yep.
Nice stuff.
And this should be an opening now to clean up some more creep. Again, you're just looking for anything you can set up here for an attack later on. You know, having one less queen's pretty big too.
Yeah, this is some annoying stuff. It does have 1/1 on the way. It's a little bit late though.
And there's enough medevacs, you can basically pick up everything now.
Oh, that
Wow.
tank catch is huge. That's a really good big moment. Oh my god, look at this from Solar. The counterattack getting these Marines and hitting SCVs at the third base.
Yeah, now the
Beautifully
SCVs are going to
done.
be on the run. They do get through the depot wall. The gate was not closed up there. There's actually just not very much back here to help defend. And dude, there's more coming. There's
Yeah.
more coming, Artie.
Yeah, he's still making lings right now. He's flooding them in towards the third. He's going to get at least a few depots here. Bailing speed's going to finish shortly here as well.
Yeah, and this, I don't think there's enough infantry to, oh my god. Oh, this is a pretty big mistake.
So
just-
funny if
oh,
like
that's just
speed
like
finished like
10 seconds earlier.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
suddenly you turn on a dime and kill all the Marines.
Yeah. Well, actually, losing those banes is pretty big because there's been some trades on both sides here, but I do think that there's just a little bit of room here for Zerg to have some offense that could pick up the third. I know most of the time we're talking about Zerg surviving a push. I think this game is going to be a reverse. I think this is a game, once mutas are out too, I think you can actually force a Terran to lift the third up here, and that's the same scenario.
Well, he needs to save that base first. Okay, he's actually doing a counterattack with these lings, and he saves his fourth as well. Very important.
Not bad, though. Some of those banes connecting with their targets. The third is saved. Actually, a good number of Marines were kept alive there.
Yeah, he actually traded those lings for not nearly as much as I think he was looking for. A lot more banes on the way, some more mutas joining the fray.
Okay, takes out the Viking. Beautifully done. Let's see if there's a setup for this attack. I think if Zerg can do this right, I think they actually could take out this base here.
You think he's going to straight up attack?
I might be wrong, but I feel like Terran was active enough. The tanks are exposed right now. This is the thing with mutas, man. If you just get in at the right angle, like... Okay, no. Good defense here by Maru.
It feels like he's just well enough defended.
I'm too much of a dreamer.
You're a dreamer, Tasteless. You thought Zerg could attack.
Creep spread's getting pretty crazy, though, man. You can really reinforce from this spot.
With Lingbane Muta, it's really nice. He's getting the Infestation Pit, I think, at a better time than what we saw before. He does have his +2 carapace already.
Yep.
Upgrading his mutas. Yeah, this is... I like it. This is turning into a very nice game right now. Solar now has the type of worker count that he actually wants. It's up in the low 80s. Maru adding another factory. He's going to be finishing up his 2-2 as well.
Oh! Okay, here we go. Now, the moment that you see the Terran pick up, that's when the Zerg can occasionally get a better position.
Yeah.
When the Terran's army's feet or wheels are not on the floor, they're having to be relocated, that's where the Zerg can try to reposition. So we want to watch for that in each of these moments here. If Zerg forces a pickup, and Mutabane is the most likely to force a pickup, usually.
Yeah.
If
Ling Bane, you know, it's a lot of times it's just like, it looks for overwhelms. You don't generally have too many close fights with it.
Yeah.
Because close fights can go very poorly for Zerg.
Another pickup. Now, where is Zerg going to go? I feel like there was an opportunity to actually head north and try to hit that base with the mutas, but...
he might avoid because a couple good siege tank hits would really mess him up. Like, I feel like he's going for a game very similar to game 1 right now.
Yeah, well, I feel like Solar's going to look for a fight soon here. He's taking more bases. The Terran's taking the 4th now. These are all critical moments now for the Terran's development.
Yeah, maybe he can do something like hit the 4th.
Oh my God.
Okay, this is a play we don't see all that often. This is something that Dark used to do a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you make so many Banelings that there's a chance you get to their main base with them.
Yeah, they just keep kiting back. Here we go.
Yeah, no, this is an absurd amount of
Banes.
Just I really want to see the
their starting location and then GG.
I think he has like 80 Banes. Okay, here's the first set.
Okay, one siege tank in on those Banes. Wait, did he get it?
Yeah,
he got the planetary. Okay.
Can't get in there though. Too many tanks on high
Now,
ground.
what do you do as Zerg? You go back, you rinse and repeat.
The Banelings. Ooh.
66 more lings. He's about to take a brick and lay it on the Baneling hotkey. That's what you do.
That's what he has to be a big
So
keyboard
you
or
train
a
your
little
cat
brick.
to put its paw on that key and just hold it down.
It's like that Simpsons episode where the thing keeps hitting the button for yes. Oh my God.
Solar looking really good.
He's looking great.
And I think this is like not the most difficult thing to set up even against Maru.
This is a much cleaner game than game 1 too.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Solar didn't lose his 4th, right? And he's already done some damage. Maru's never really gotten damage in. Maru's not dead. He's getting his 3-3. You know, he's getting up to another base now, but this looks much better for Solar than game 1 did.
All right, here we go.
Oh my
this is an
God.
orbital. It can be lifted. This is an insane number of Banes.
It's so many
He just
Banes.
chunks off the army. Go back home. I'm very curious about the mutas that are not with the army. He seems to want to try to find. I think what he's trying to do is fly to the other side of the map and hit the tanks in case there's no anti-air and then get out.
Yeah. He's looking for something with them. Just any additional damage that he can get. And it also kind of makes you split your army a little bit. You have to be really wary of them.
So, you know, Maru's not dead, but Maru is hanging on. And right now, Solar's stepping on his fingers. He's hanging on to the edge of the building. Solar's stepping on him.
It's funny because Maru's maxed out. He's got 3-3. He's got a healthy worker count, 4 bases. But yeah, Solar has a lot. He has a lot going on.
Now this is pretty bold. The counter push here. He wants to try to come in here and intercept. Maybe even try to intercept the massive amount of Banelings that are coming. But this is all on creep. Okay, not
That's
bad.
a lot of Marauders, though.
Not bad. Banelings are finishing. Oh, the counterattack. No Banelings with this either. This is all intended to just try to snipe that orbital.
Yeah, I think he might just not get it here.
Yeah.
But you know what? He just forced the army to turn around.
Yeah.
These are the types of moves you need to be able to do.
All right, here we go again. I don't think this is enough Banes here. There's just a meat shield of Marauders.
So many Marauders.
And this planetary is also a big headache here.
Well,
can he actually get the planetary here? Oh, very good play. Hey, great play there. The planetary's going to go down.
great load from Maru, too. He really did his best to try to save it.
So that was 19 SCVs killed here. Now let's keep in mind, when you see Terran push out on these bases, there's this whole other side story where a lot of times SCVs are part of the casualties of the game. And then Terran ends up behind in workers. This is a game where it's basically been almost like it's one of these campaign missions where the Terran's just getting bludgeoned over and over by the Zerg. Drones are not being killed. There's 86 drones in this game. We had, I want to say, almost 70 workers earlier on here from Maru. He's down to 57 after he lost the planetary base.
He's lost like probably 70, 80 workers so far this game. It's pretty wild. Right now, Solar, I mean, he has not actually lost that many workers.
No.
His creep spread is over halfway across the map. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases right now.
By the way, on this map, the bottom right, it is not guaranteed for Terran.
Yeah, no, totally not.
This is a, so there's more and more the Zerg can take, and so
I would say nothing's guaranteed for Terran at this point.
No, I agree. Now the Widow Mines went off, but it seems like they mostly went off on the Ultralisks here, and this is just this ridiculous number of Banes coming through here.
It is
This
comical
is
how many Banes he's using.
In Bane. Look at this. The CC's going to go down. Is there anything actually defending the base above this?
Well, there's a wall. Like we said, walls are really good
Can
against
Zerg units kill walls?
Enough of them can. Banelings can kill anything if they put their mind to it.
Yeah.
But look, you can see there is a lot of cost efficiency happening here. But of course, when you have as much as Solar had, like even when they're being a bit cost efficient, you're going to be able to knock them out.
This really goes to show you how long Marauders can last versus Mutas here. GG, Solar wins. Oh, ho, ho.
That was
so cool.
That was good. He is in fantastic shape. His Lingbane Muta looking just prime.
Versus Maru, one of the greatest Terrans of all time. Solar went toe-to-toe. Went through the macro game, outproduced, outcontrolled. Maru didn't get to really play much of the game in Game 3. He was just sitting back trying to not die. Until Solar came in there with that execution move.
No, I know.
Crazy.
Great play, though. I feel like Solar's understanding of what to do is just sky high.
It's the best I've ever seen Solar play.
I agree. I think this is the best that Solar has put out.
Yeah, now I think we have to consider him as somebody who could win this season, actually.
Absolutely agree with that.
We're going to go to a break. We come back. Trapper Stream. Do not go away.